me, I said, well, I know that I have lived this. So I'm just going to build this block by block. I'm not going to go raise money because they're going to laugh at me. I'm investing every day and I'd laugh at me. What's different about what I'm doing and 800 other people? But the hardest thing for people to do is do the work.
Welcome to another episode of Bold Entrepreneurs, where we talk to CEOs, visionaries, founders, and more, all over a bowl of cereal. I'm your host, Ryan Harwood, and today we have a very special guest. He managed some of the top artists and producers, such as Mark Ronson, Wale, and Meek Mill. Former VP Rock Nation, launched Rock Nation Sports. Manager of NBA superstar Kevin Durant. Co-founder with KD of 35 Ventures and Boardroom, which covers the intersection of sports, entertainment, business, and culture. Welcome, my friend, Rich Kleiman, to the show.
Thank you very much. It feels good to hear you read my bio.
There you go.
Thank you.
Bumps up the ego a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. Appreciate that.
All right. Well, we're talking serial entrepreneurship over cereal.
Bowl of cereal.
So let's pour. Let's get into this.
Were you disappointed with my choice of Honey Nut Cheerios?
I was surprised, and I'm actually going to ask you first about that pick. Tell me why you picked Honey Nut Cheerios.
Well, I actually am a cereal mixer. So I like to mix Honey Nut Cheerios, Smart Start, and Life. When asked to name one, I felt really stressed. Like, it stressed me out a bit, and I just went with like Old Reliable. And then also, like, how many nights did you come home at 3:30 in the morning and pour yourself a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios? I figured, gotta go with the one that got you there. Yeah.
Think back to your childhood room. What posters did you have on your wall?
So my bedroom was a canvas for basically everything that I do now, if you think about it. I loved hip hop, I loved sports, I loved the New York Knicks, I loved the New York Giants. My wall was the Sultans of Slam, which was that like slam dunk poster that had all the Spud Webb, Dominique, Michael Jordan. I had the Bomb Squad with Mark Jackson, Trent Tucker, Gerald Wilkins. I had that Knick poster. Then I had like iconic posters of the time, mostly Knicks and a lot of Mark Jackson, Patrick Ewing, Starch, Oakley.
Yeah.
But then as I got more and more into the Knicks, I got like creative. I was cutting headlines from the Post. I would go into the Knicks yearbook and start like cutting out the figure. Yeah. And then when I won my March Madness bracket one year, because you'd always have to put that on the wall and like put in the winners and the losers with pencil. I kept that up for like 2 years. Yep. So I was in it.
You were in it.
Yeah, I was in it.
So when you were in that age range, let's call it 8 years old to 12 years old, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
8 to 12, I still like, every season, I would want to be an athlete. When I got to like 14 years old, I started getting really into the people in my neighborhood that were making money, from the newsstand guy to the guy who owned the like stationery store. Just the idea that like that's what they woke up and did. The hot dog stand guy would have like the crazy knot of singles with like the 120 over it. And I just thought it was amazing that you got paid to do something. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't love school, but I did have this burning desire to be regarded. It's different than like to be, you understand what I mean? It's not, I don't want to be famous, but I felt like it was cool that athletes, got a certain
panache when they walk.
Yeah, and even watching like courtside at the Garden, Ewing would nod his head to someone on the floor. How does he know him? How does that guy know him? He must have done something. So that was really what motivated me. Like, I was going to do something that people can like feel that way about me.
Basketball and hip hop. Mm-hmm. Obviously, two of your passions from a young age. You already told me about the posters on the wall, all of it. Was the plan always to pursue a career in one of those areas as you grew older?
I think it was the spirit that was around it all that I definitely was like, all right, I need to stay close to this. But I didn't really like necessarily focus. I just kept going. I just felt like everything was a blur when I was a kid a bit. And I know how to talk to people, like I knew that. I figured that out. And when I came back to the city, this is 1997. Well, hip hop is exploding now, right? This is like Bad Boy in the clubs every night and Rockefeller in the clubs every night. So I found myself really like, wow, look at these hip hop moguls. Like this seems bigger than any athlete I've ever seen walk in a room, watching Puffy and Jay-Z and Damon Dash and Andre Harrell and these guys in the late 90s. I was like, I need to be near this. And the energy was the same. Like I felt the same energy. I felt the same comfort that I did around the sport of basketball. And without trying, I ended up in the music business first.
How'd you meet Jay-Z in order to get the Rock Nation opportunity?
I had a record label with Mark Ronson. When I was younger, I managed a bunch of DJs, and we started this label down in Soho called the Leader Records. We had a studio on Mercer Street, and Mark was doing Amy Winehouse's album, and Lily Allen, Adele was in there like earlier in her career. J. Cole was there before he was signed. Wale was in there. We just had such a vibe going on in the studio. But I was also jumping over to this place, Radical Media, at the same time and doing music supervision and helping them with like getting a database of unsigned artists and producers. And I was hustling, you know what I'm saying? I was like anything I could do. And I had met Jay-Z's manager at the time, and I set up the meeting. You know, sometimes you got to know when to set up the meeting and stand back. I was 25 and stayed involved every step of the way, was named a producer on it, and we ended up turning what we didn't know at the time was just footage from the concert into this like really legendary theatrical doc on called Fade to Black. And you know, I told you those stories about like watching athletes as a kid and watching everybody courtside, but when Jay-Z walked in the room for the first meeting, I was just like, God damn, this dude's like floating. Like, he's the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. And I just like wanted to be around all of them, you know what I'm saying? And I did. I got really enmeshed in day to day, and we hung all the time, and I went over there, and at the time, I'm not quite sure I realized how many real fundamental skills I was learning for my career.
Definitely.
But I think it's a testament to that place because like both Kevin and I were able to kind of, you know, transition from there and catapult from what we had both learned when we were at Rock for a while.
Yeah. You were introduced to KD by Wale at a Jay-Z concert. How did that develop and then turn into the full-blown partnership you have today?
I met up with him, and we exchanged numbers after the night, and we just kept in touch. We weren't even that tight. You know, I'd see him every once in a while at a show or something. But then when we started the agency, he was one of the first calls I made, and you know, timing is everything. And he was at a time in his life where he's looking for change, and for whatever reason, the two of us work. The way we communicate works.
Yep.
You know, I understand him, he understands me. We're different, but the relationship grew from just the wars we've been through. Like when I was watching Aaron Rodgers last night, I had this like weird moment of PTSD. Then I had this like weird moment of appreciation for my relationship with Kevin. You know, the last 11 years we've been by his side for every bit of this. And that night in Toronto when he tore his Achilles, I was the only one there because everyone thought we were going to win that and go back to the Bay. And you know, no one wants to say like, you tore your Achilles, straight up. These doctors, it affects them, man, because like they know the severity of not just the injury, but of the situation, the stakes. And I was just thinking about like the things we had been through. And when you go through that stuff with someone over and over and over again, no different than any other relationship, the trust just becomes so built in. And you know, that's the magic to what we do because we don't agree on everything. But Kevin gave me another level of confidence in my career, another level of support that no one had ever given me.
Yep.
You know, for me, I took advantage of it. And what I always reminded myself was that if I ever take my eye off the role of a manager, though, then all of this won't matter. So I was so true to my job as his manager that whenever it comes to talking about the business we were building, he's like respectful of like, listen, this is something Rich is building for us, and he's got his way of doing this, and he is locked in with me and everything I want to do in my career and my basketball business. Let's really like be open-minded to anything.
What was the impetus and motivation behind starting a VC firm like 35 Ventures with Kevin, and then subsequently starting Boardroom, a media brand?
By the time we decided to go on our own, it was like, all right, we don't have to do anything that anyone else has done. Or what do we want to do? Like, what is this? And the first 6 months was tightening up the ship. He wanted to get rid of a ton of brand deals. Then all of a sudden he chose the Warriors, and we landed there, and it was like, well, I know what we're supposed to do now. You know, like we're around some of these minds that are changing the world, and we have an opportunity to learn and listen, and that kind of launched 35 Ventures. Same thing as Boardroom. It's something I always wanted to do, which was basically like a brand that I believed that encompassed all the things I love, but I had to go live it all. I had to go do it and live it and build the relationships and have the experiences. And by the time I did, it was time. And I was like, there's got to be a brand to what we're doing. I know that respectfully, because Gary's, an icon, but I can't do that. And I can't be Rich Kleiman. I had to build a brand.
Gotcha.
And for me, that was what Boardroom was. It was a brand that I could build that would encompass these worlds that I had traveled through and lived, and that what I saw now was the things that I always loved and where they intersected. And this is the DNA of your business too, is something that was now compelling for the masses. People wanted to know about that white space, and other people can't get there. You have to actually have lived it and been there, or it's going to look fake. And for me, I said, well, I know that I have lived this, so I'm just going to build this block by block. I'm not going to go raise money because they're going to laugh at me. I'm investing every day, and I'd laugh at me. What's different about what I'm doing and 800 other people? But the hardest thing for people to do is do the work.
Execute.
And I started doing it, and I started adding block by block. People were hating on me. Like, I got a text from somebody. I wish I could blast him too, because he's so famous. But I got a text from someone that was like, you're wasting your time on this Boardroom thing. But I knew that I needed a brand to build, and I was dying to build this brand. The brand was created, and the storytelling vehicle exists, and the audience was built, and now I'm building business.
Pickleball, baby.
Pickleball.
Both saw it. Both dove in. On Major League Pickleball teams, you the Brooklyn Aces, us the New Jersey Fives. First of all, how'd you learn about it? What was the rationale for investing? I'm super curious. When you brought it to KD and you're like, let's talk about this, was he like, what the fuck is pickleball?
I had heard a little bit about it. I didn't pay it any mind till summer of 22. It was the week before July 4th weekend. And I was on my way to play tennis, actually. And Danny Silman, mutual friend of ours, said, come by the house. I thought we were going to play tennis. And we played pickleball. And last summer, you felt it. It was like an explosion of it. And just like anything that whenever I feel that feeling, I can't separate that from business.
Okay.
So it's like, what is this? Like, how do I get in it? How do I be around it as much as possible? And we all got in it. I remember I went to Austin to meet with Kevin. We were going to see Texas, Alabama. And I was like, let me tell you about it. I talked to him about it. I will say he's never like, what the fuck? He was instantly open-minded to pickleball. There was also a lot of like, you have to apply for the team. You heard who else was applying for the team. It became very like competitive early. And then randomly, Austin has this like Dreamland Ranch where all the pickleball courts are. And I was like, come with me there. The commissioner's there. And we went there, and he played a little bit, and I was playing, and he got it. He got it right away. He got the culture of it. He got the vibe of it. There's a very safe feeling around that sport, and I think he picked up on it. And from there, it was like, let's do this. I mean, it's been so fun. There's so much that's evolved. There's so much that's still evolving, but what an incredible experience to like watch this grow, be a part of it. All the owners have some connection to each other. It's been a really like fun ride.
It's a lot of camaraderie. It's fun. Obviously, having a network, your connections are incredibly important in this world. People will make the world go round. What do you think is the most genuine, authentic way to go about building that network?
To forget about what your objective is or what your business is or what you want out of it. Like, that's not the time. And to understand that a relationship or a network can't consist of who you believe are the most successful and famous people, and that there's not just great business that will ultimately come out of it. There's great friendships, there's great learnings, but at some point, as you get older, the need for that network in every way, support during COVID, support if you need somebody to show up for something you're doing, or just actual like relationships that can benefit you. You're not going to get that by being transactional from day one. And I never was. Like, I'm so long game. I have people in my life now that are like, when are you going to ask me? It's been 30 years. The value of your network is, if you're focused on it solely for your business, it will never work. If you're building a network because you understand it's powerful to have people around you, then it can work.
What's a harsh truth that you've learned in your life that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
That you actually have to work. That you actually have to work. I had a meeting with somebody the other day that kept telling me all the things he needed to build his business and why I needed to help him or why someone needed to help him. And I'm like, oh my God, like, he's literally missing the one part of all of this that's crucial to everything. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't actually want to work. I used to give a more insightful answer, but it's nothing more than that.
Yeah.
Because if you're either entrepreneurial or you're not, and if you are and you're scared of the work, it won't work.
Yeah.
But if you want to do the work and you're entrepreneurial, you're going to find some success.
Yep. When it's all said and done, if you can be remembered for one thing as your legacy as a businessman or as a human, what do you want it to be?
I don't really necessarily care about my legacy as a businessman because I'm smart enough to know that it ain't going to go very long. My legacy as a human, though, is I want my funeral to be packed. And for me, that is about feeling like I explored people and was open-minded and had all different walks of life, come across my desk, come into my life. And I take pride in that. I take pride in like the amount of people I know. And I know that might sound weird to some people. It's not a popularity contest, but for me, that's my like fuel, is people. And I guess I just want to kind of, like I said earlier about being regarded, that didn't necessarily have a reason or what it was regarded for.
Yep.
I want people to be like proud of the life I lived. And, for me, I know what will come with that.
Yep.
But I'm also, like I said, like they're not going to talk about what I did in business in 150 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily stressed on that.
Yeah.
But
they will talk about how you made them feel and what you left for them.
And the great-great-grandkid, if you do it right, will be like, I had a great-great-grandfather. That was cool as shit.
Yeah. Rich, this was awesome, my man. I appreciate you joining me. Appreciate you taking the time of your busy day. Now let's slurp.
Are we doing it?
We're slurping.
Shit, all right.
All the milk.
I thought we only did this behind closed doors, but if this is what we do here.
Not like good.
Soggy as shit.
Soggy cereal. Some good milk.
Wow. Thank you so much, man.
My man.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.